What is up, Soul Fam? It's Sandal from Substance Over Style. Welcome to a new video. So I'm quite dressed up today, as you can see. I was just filming a reel for Instagram. My dad basically asked me to do an Instagram post to kind of help out we've got like some family friends who just launched a jewelry brand, so I was just filming the reel for that. So quick shout out for these guys. Their brand is called Shapes and Pieces, and they do really beautiful Desi style jewelry, so like South Asian jewelry. So they've got all kinds. They've got like bridal, they've got like temple, they've got contemporary. These ones are more contemporary. They've also got some Western styles. And they're hosting we're doing a giveaway. I suggested that they host a little giveaway just to kind of get their social media off with like a bang. So if you head to my Instagram, if you want to participate in that, head to my Instagram and find the reel where I think I'll use my makeup here as the cover image, or it might just be, I haven't decided yet, it might just be like it's in my reels, it might just be like a plain unmade up. It's one of those cute transition ones. So yeah, and there'll be all the instructions there for how you can get your hands on, you know, a pair from them, like a pair of earrings or a necklace or a bracelet, whatever you want. I think they're probably gonna exclude like the sets. They have like bridal sets and stuff, so those will probably be excluded from the giveaway. I'll show you the other pair that they sent me. They sent me quite a few bits, but these are the ones that I chose to keep. So the green, we've got the green ones, really beautiful, and then this one in a turquoise. They also do these in pink as well, or like a corally type color. They're so beautiful and really like high quality for the price point. Like the price point is just unbeatable. I mean, they're very affordably priced. These ones were £16.99, so like less than £20. And they're really gorgeous. I mean, I really love them. So yeah, if you want to participate in that and show them some love on Instagram, I'll post their Instagram in the box below, and you know, their website, so y'all can show some love. I would appreciate it. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We're talking about finding your tribe and finding your community and why it's so important. So this was a suggested video in the Q&A. I love doing the Q&As. That's where I get all my ideas for video content. Otherwise I don't even know what the fuck to talk about otherwise, unless people ask me stuff. So ask me stuff, you know, like, okay, engage in the Q&As, or you can even just DM me anytime and suggest a video. I did get somebody actually, I was a bit sassy. I got somebody messaging me going, please discuss CERN. And I just responded with, you discuss CERN. Because I don't know, it kind of annoyed me because I was just like, I don't fucking care about CERN. I have literally never talked about CERN. I'm not researched on CERN. I'm not an expert on CERN. I will talk about it a little bit because it was in the Q&A. But I was just a bit like... you discuss that. I apologize to that person, but I don't know, so like, I will warn you, sometimes when people message me asking me to talk about stuff that I've literally never talked about before and is not within my wheelhouse, I do get a little bit annoyed because I'm just like, that's not what I'm here for. So like, you know, if you watch my videos and you know what I've spoken about, is fine. Like, you can ask me, please talk about this, if it's within the things that I talk about and my area of expertise. But if it's something like wildly different, like, don't ask me about it. I mean, look, it's fine, you can try, but I might be a bit like, why are you asking me that? You can ask me questions about modeling as well. I'm totally open to that. I get questions about that as well. Okay, so Anouk Marie Ange, I'm gonna not keep this one anonymous because, you know, I think this is a great question and I wanted to kind of keep her unanonymous so that y'all can go follow her if you want. Hi, I just want to follow up my question because it was too long to type in the chat box. I actually didn't see her question in the chat box. But anyway, she goes, I remember that you mentioned when you are on your spiritual path, it can get lonely. How did you integrate into finding your people? I'm saying this because I lost a lot of friends when I started Kundalini Yoga and my tarot career. It was lonely for a while, especially during the pandemic, but I know it had to happen. How do you find your people? Do you have to try, or does it align naturally? I would say for me, it's a bit of both. Like, it's a bit of both. It usually aligns pretty naturally, but yeah, you do have to, like, you do have to make it happen. But I don't consciously go out and go, I'm going to make friends today. It just naturally happens because I go out and I do stuff. Like, I'm always doing stuff. I mean, a lot of my people, my tribe, my community have aligned naturally through my work as an international model, so I'm meeting new people all the fucking time. And especially with the trips that I would do, like when I would go and do like on stay, like like, you know, when you at work as an international model, you'll go for like 3 to 6 months to even longer sometimes contracts overseas, and you'll go live in a model apartment, you'll live with other models. It's very crowded, it's very cramped, it's not glamorous, and you meet a lot of other people, young people in the same situation, who are traveling, who are finding themselves, who are discovering about the world and themselves and different cultures, and who are, you know, having this experience being an international model, which is a kind of crazy experience for a young person to go through. And, you know, I wasn't even that young when I was doing it, and I'm still doing. I'm about to do another model contract as well, so, you know, I'm still doing it. But yeah, I've met a lot of my people through modeling, and there's a lot of awake people in the fashion industry and in the modeling industry. You know, like, people think, oh, models are all like shallow and vacuous, and that's what you see on the outside, but on the inside you don't see like the overcrowded model apartments, you don't see the financial exploitation, you don't see all the challenges they face, you don't see all the abuse that, you know, we go through, you don't see the fact that a lot of these kids are supporting entire families back home from where they come from with the money that they're making from modeling. And, you know, a lot of the time it's not even that much. So, you know, there's a lot of things that models go through. And then also with the traveling and seeing other cultures, being exposed to other cultures, it does, you know, it awakens you really fast. And helps you kind of discover more about your inner world and the outer world and how it reflects that. And you're always meeting new people all the time, so that can really, and you're a creative. So I find that creatives and, you know, people who are a little bit more right brain dominant tend to be more awake or more spiritual, because, you know, our society is quite left brain dominant. So naturally, if you're right brain dominant, forced to live in a left brain dominant society, you're already going through a hierogamic process where you're, you know, marrying those two brain hemispheres. So, you know, that's where I've met a lot of people. I've also met a lot of people from like events. Like, London has got a really massive consciousness community, and it's very well connected, because it's not like it's sprawling. And there's a lot of events happening, but there's not like loads and loads of people that are involved. Like, there's a few key players and people kind of know who each other is. And because I have been, you know, the alignment happens when you're being really, really authentically yourself. So when you start showing up authentically as yourself, if you're saying that only started to happen during the pandemic, I don't know, I could be wrong about that. But if you only really started to step into who you are, you know, recently, yes, there's a dropping away and like a purging process of the people that are not a vibrational resonance with who you used to be. And so, and especially during a time of lockdown, I personally think that they did that deliberately to keep people isolated, because we were awakening so fast. We're going through a mass consciousness awakening. So if they can keep people apart, then I feel like, you know, the dark forces just thought that they could maybe slow that down. Didn't happen. It actually accelerated things, but this is what I'm always saying: nothing that the dark does is ever going to succeed. You can't go against God, you can't go against natural law. Everything will always ultimately serve the light. God wins always. No matter what they do, it only ever serves to, doesn't even delay the inevitable. Like, nothing can stop what's coming, okay? This is why I say, guys, fear is a false program. We do this in my Kriya Yoga course, in Reclaim Your Crown. We tap out all the fear programs. They're not actually a part of us. They're actually usually just entity attachments and thought forms. Thought forms are actually entity attachments, because everything is conscious, and thoughts are things, and thoughts are kind of conscious as well. Thoughts are conscious because everything is divine intelligence. So we tap out any fear programs that thought forms can hook into and run those negative programs that stop you from believing in your own power. And we do lots of other amazing kriyas as well. We get rid of loads of other traumas from the body. So if you want to join that, there's a link in the description box below. So yeah, fear, false evidence appearing real. It's the only truth is love. you know, like not saying that bad things don't happen and that, you know, that you never have to be afraid of anything bad happening to you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that a lot of the things that we worry about are going to like never even happen. And even when the bad things do happen, it's always calling you towards your highest. It's always pulling you back to source. So, you know, God is always protecting us. But God will allow certain things to happen to us, bad things to happen, if it's in our highest good and if we've consented to it on a higher level, because ultimately we're not separate. So a lot of the times the bad things that we go through are things that we have actually chosen to go through to serve our evolution, because it always brings us close to God. I mean, that's my opinion, and from what I've experienced. I talked about this in the last video about evil. So yeah, I know it's not always the most, you know, popular opinion, and some people can find it controversial, but that's just what that's just what I believe based on the things that I've been through, because everything that I've been through that has seemed like really awful, and where I've been in like the pit of despair and like praying on my knees to God, like, why are you letting me go through this? There was always a reason, and it was always like, for what I learned from it, it was invaluable and I wouldn't take it back. So, you know, if you're going through something right now, or in the future when you're going through something and it's really intense and you're like, why is this happening, God? You'll look back with hindsight and be like, that was, you know, there was a reason for that. I know that, like, you know, I don't want to say that it's like a blanket statement, because I know some people are going through some really, really terrible shit. I mean, I know some people close to me who've, like, you know, lost people really close to them, like lost partners or children. So I'm not going to, you know, you make up your own mind about why you're going through that. But for me, with all the things that I've been through, I found that it always was serving my highest evolution. Not just as a human, but I'm talking about like a multidimensional, eternal being. So yeah, as there's a purging out of people that no longer match your vibrational resonance, it's creating space for people that do match your new frequency to kind of come in and be part of your tribe. Some of my favorite people that I've met here in London, because I've been on this path for a long time, even though I haven't been doing, you know, healing work professionally, I've been going to healing events in London for many years, and I've been, you know, back and forth. I mean, London is where I'm from. So even when I go live in Asia for like a year or whatever, you know, my family is still here. I still have a really close-knit group of friends. A lot of my friends who I met modeling in London are now healers. So or they do something creative, but they're very awake, and so we all still stay in touch. You know, my cousin who lives very close to me, she's also a healer, and we actually did our training together with Emily. So, you know, people, and my mum is also super switched on and awake. So people around you will start to shift as well. I mean, I've been awake for a really long time. So again, awakening process is not like a switch. It's like it's not binary. So as you awaken, the people that you choose to keep around you will awaken with you as well. They might not awaken at the same rate or in the same ways, because we're all unique. But they will also come along with you for the journey if you choose to take them with you. Sometimes you may need to separate yourself from people just to protect your energy for a while. But I found that with a lot of people that I let out of my life, they came back in later a lot of the time, because then they went on their own journeys, and then you can kind of reconvene at a later time when your frequencies are more matching. I met a lot of people at the marches last year. Like I went to nearly every single one, and I didn't wait for people to come with me. I mean, even though I have a lot of, you know, friends that were down and who would have loved to come with me, you know, people get busy, people have work, people didn't always want to come, or they were out of town. They weren't like really prioritizing it. For me, you know, I was supposed to go to Bali last summer and I didn't go. And, you know, there were several reasons why I didn't go. But part of the reason is because I wanted to be at those marches for grid work. So, you know, I had grid work assignments that kind of God put upon my heart to be here for those, and to kind of help balance some of the energies there. And I just went by myself, and I had the best fucking time. I went to a few of them with friends, and I took people with them, like there were people who were kind of, you know, going through an awakening journey, who messaged me because I was being very outspoken. and they said, you know, I'm really like drawn to your posts, and you know, people who knew me from the industry or whatever, and they were like, oh, I really like what you're saying, let me know if there's any events happening, because I want to like connect with, you know, community. And so I just was like, yeah, I'm going to March on Saturday, like let's go, we'll like meet some people or whatever. But I don't wait for people to come with me. I just go by myself. I go to a lot of things by myself. I go to ecstatic dance by myself. I meet people there. When you go to places by yourself, you meet people much more easily than if you went, you know, with a friend. Like, so a lot of the time you're like, I don't have friends to go to, you know, to go to these, you know, conscious events or whatever with. Just go by yourself, go to a festival by yourself, go to like a, you know, ecstatic dance. A lot of people go to ecstatic dance by themselves because it's like a healing thing, you know. It's like going to a yoga class or going to the gym. Like, it's not that different. Like, you don't wait for a gym buddy to go to the gym, you just fucking go to the gym because you need to take care of yourself. So yeah, just take care of yourself, like go to things that you want to go to and go and meet people. Or you can just like go online, and you know, there's a lot of communities online where you can connect with people. Like if there's like a Facebook group where, you know, like maybe there's like a Kundalini yoga Facebook group or a tarot yoga Facebook group, or like, you know, I've connected with people in like different like, you know, dating groups or like polarity groups, or, you know, groups about like, you know, conscious relationships, or, you know, I connected obviously in Emily's community. There's a lot of oracles who are based in the UK or in Europe. Just put out a message and just say, hey, I'm wanting to like connect with people who are local to me. Is anybody in this Facebook group from whatever town you're from and wants to get a coffee? And go and make friends. Like, it can be hard as an adult to make friends. Like, it definitely can be. Like, I wanted to go to this gig on Sunday, Stanton Warriors, Evil Nine, like all that lot, like who I used to see all the time. I used to see them playing when I was at uni. And I'm at the age now where a lot of my friends are like married, they have kids, you know, everybody's busy, everybody's got partners, they're away for the weekends, or they're busy with work. You know, we all have responsibilities now. In in your 30s it gets harder than in your 20s. So I was like, I need more fucking friends. So I went and I found this app. It's called Hey Vina. It's basically like Tinder, but for friendships. And so you can just go like connect with other girls or other women. And there's like, you know, you can say what you're into: vegan, vegetarian, yogi, you know, parks, homebodies, DIY, like what your interests are. And yeah, just find like friends in your neighborhood. Obviously there's a lot, it's like dating really. It's a lot of like trial and improvement, where you may go out for a coffee date with like a new girlfriend and find that you don't vibe at all. Even if she is spiritual and open-minded, you might find her really fucking annoying. I mean, I've had that before. Like I've been to events and like bumped into people and like been like, yeah, let's get a coffee. And, you know, then you go for a coffee, and you even though you're like-minded, you're not always going to vibe with everybody who is like-minded. It's just, you know, not everybody in the spiritual community or in the conscious community are people that you necessarily want to be friends with. That's something that I've learned also along the way. So just be mindful about that. A lot of my friends who are more matrixy are actually much nicer, more emotionally well-balanced, kinder people than, you know, so-called truth seekers or people who are awake, you know. So, and a lot, and that's, you know, to be expected, because a lot of people in the spiritual community or in the conscious community are emotionally damaged. I mean, I feel like all humans are emotionally damaged in some way, but I feel like a lot of truth seekers have been through some of the most intense trauma, and that's what makes you a truth seeker. That's what makes you a pioneer, because you're seeking out how to heal yourself. So not like to be disparaging against like the conscious community or anything like that, but some people are, you know, they really, really need to heal their trauma, and they're like projecting it on people, and it, you know, it's not always, you don't always want to associate with everyone, is basically what I'm saying, just because people are spiritual. And the same goes for partners and relationships. So yeah, like finding your tribe is important. I know that there's like a big community of people. Yeah, just reach out to people. I mean, I have people reach out to me who I can see are like on a similar frequency, saying, hey, do you want to get a coffee? And I'll usually always go. Like, you know, I don't see it as like, usually it's guys, because guys are much more proactive. And like, yes, you could say that, oh, they just like want one thing. I found that not to be true, actually. Like, yeah, okay, I'm sure they wouldn't necessarily say no, but you know, a lot of the time I feel like they're just more comfortable with being proactive because they have to be with women. Like, so they go out there and they get, you know, what they want. Whereas women, I think we can be a bit more passive. And I can be quite passive even with my friends, where I'm always up. Like, if friends want to do stuff, they want to invite me to things, I'm usually always down. I'm not the kind of person who's just like, oh, that's not my scene, so I'm not going to go. I have a lot of friends where I actually don't even invite them to things because they're so picky about what they want to do that I'm just like, what the fuck is the point? Like, you only ever want to go for like lunch or dinner and like catch up, which I'm okay with doing, but then let me know when you're available to do that, because, you know, I want friends that I can go and do fun things with. Like, I want to go to like ecstatic dance. I want to go to like a fair or a festival, or, you know, a day rave or whatever it is. So, you know, I like when people are down for stuff like that. But yes, I think probably like the communities that I'm now like tapped into, where like people, it's not just like, you know, I'm friends with this person, I'm friends with that person, I'm friends with that person, are usually formed around when people are, when there's a person who's good at bringing people together. So if you don't know anybody like that, then maybe you should try and become that person and start like hosting gatherings where you bring all your like-minded people that you know together and have them get to know each other. And what that does is it creates more opportunities for connection, and it creates a community and tribe. And especially if you're somebody that's looking for your union, like you're looking for like a partnership, that's how you meet people, like through other people. Like, yes, okay, there's apps and shit like that, but like personally, I've never met anybody, I've never had like a successful long-term relationship off an app. I've met like people who I've dated a couple of times, but I've never been able, like, every relationship that I've had that's had like a proper connection and a deep emotional connection has always been through serendipity. Like, I met them at an event, or, you know, there was one guy who through Instagram, but it was actually a fucking terrible relationship. Usually it's like through social outings and gatherings and through people that you know. Like, that's how I generally tend to meet people. Sometimes online connections as well, but, you know, it won't be like dating apps. Yes, okay. And I think also with relationships and like dating, it's good when you meet people through like the community, because they're vetted and you can get like a background info on them and find out like, is this a healthy person? Do they have really bad skeletons in their closet that I should know about? Like, do they have like a history of like cheating or abuse, and any red flags that you need to know about? It's just, you know, I do find that a lot of the problems when people get into really problematic relationships, it's often because they met the person on a dating app, so they had absolutely no background information about the person. And I think it's to be expected, because a lot of the people who go on dating apps are people who are not very good at socializing or like forming community. So I think in these days of like, you know, where everything is just a Tinder swipe away, I think it's more and more important that we learn social skills and we learn how to interact with people in the real world. So yeah, I'm really like grateful for, you know, a lot of my friends live overseas as well, so that does make it difficult. So I try to FaceTime with them as much as possible, or I invite them to come and stay with me. Like, now that things are opening up, you know, I've got friends who will like come to London and visit me, and we'll hang out and stuff, or I'll go to their country, you know. Like, now that things are opening up, I'm definitely going to go visit my friends overseas more. Okay, so I want to answer some of these questions from the Q&A. Okay, so somebody's asked, would you ever move out of the country, and if so, where? I'm always moving out of the country. I'm always going and taking my suitcase and like spending like 6 months, sometimes even a year. Like, so far it's only been Asia, but I've got like some South American countries on my list. Anywhere really, like wherever, where I want to always live in different countries. Like, I always want to have my base in London, but I'm like, you know, I'm nomadic at heart, so I want to always be able to like leave sometimes, because London gets really, really intense, and the UK get like, the weather is really, really shit in like autumn and winter. Like, we get like nice weather during summer, but that's about it really. Somebody's asked me what's my body measurements. I know that people can find this a little bit triggering. I am going to answer it, so if you want to skip ahead, that's fine. I'm currently 5'8" almost, and then 32C, 26 waist, and a 38 on the hip, which is about as big as I've ever been since I started my modelling career. I used to be a little bit bigger before I started modelling. I've been this size before during my modelling career as well, but back then that was in Thailand, that it was a little bit too big for the industry then, and my agency was like, you better lose some weight. So I was still working though, I was still booking jobs and stuff, but I did lose the weight. Right now the industry's not fussed, and I feel pretty good. I think I look pretty hot. I'm pretty confident with how I look. I spoke to my agency like a couple of months ago when I went in for a meeting and said, these are my measurements now, you know, lockdown. That's what happened. And they were like, that's fine. And I was just like, okay, I mean, I'm okay to like drop it down. And they were just like, no, I mean, if you want to, you can. But they were like, the industry's changed now. So, you know, if you want to be that size, you can be that size as long as you're healthy and like in shape and look good and stuff. They just seem to be a bit more comfortable with diversity, which is great. So I don't feel any pressure to like drop those measurements. I'm happy with those measurements. I would like to be a little bit smaller. I mean, wouldn't we all? Maybe we wouldn't all, but what do you do for mental peace? Give me some advice. Okay, several things. Usually if I'm going through like a really intense emotional purge, the best thing to do is cry. You've got to get that out. Crying is a detoxification process. So as you cry, you're purging out whatever is the old trauma that's coming up. Whether it's old, it could be new, it could be current, but a lot of the time it's in a spiral. So whatever you're experiencing now is usually something that's being triggered from deep within you, some kind of inner child stuff. It's a story that's keeping repeating, that wants your attention. So cry. Journal, you talk to yourself, talk to your inner child, find out what it wants to say, so you really get clear and go, okay, what's the story that you're telling yourself here? And then, you know, just calmly and compassionately listen to yourself, listen to what your fears are, why you feel the way that you feel, and tell yourself why that's not true and why that's a limiting belief, why you can have everything that you want. Or sometimes your inner child just wants you to reassure them, like, you know, like it depends on what you're going through. It really depends on what the story is. I talk to God a lot. Like if I'm going through a lot, like I'll talk to God and I'll be like, God, why the fuck are you doing this to me? What am I learning from this? I hate this. Please. And I ask for where I need assistance. Like I'll say, please take away this feeling, or please don't allow me to go down that path if that's not good for me. Don't, you know, give me. But you've got to also trust that like whatever your body is telling you is what you need in that moment. So let's say, for example, you're feeling really drawn to a certain person who you feel is repeatedly hurting you. If you still want that person, despite the fact that the relationship is hurting you, it's because there's still a lesson there that you haven't yet learned. And, you know, look, because I take a very like compassionate, like when I work with clients who are kind of going through, you know, trauma bonds and, you know, cycles of relationship toxicity, I will never, like, you know, sometimes there'll be like a split, like a body-mind split, where logically they're like, this person's no good for me, but their body's still drawn towards the person. And I'm saying that you need to marry those two. You might go, okay, the way that this person, I will never tell somebody like leave that person unless there's like physical abuse. So I will say, okay, remove yourself from that person so that you're safe. Doesn't mean you have to sever the connection and the feelings that you have for that person, but just get away from them right now because you're unsafe. But generally, like if a person is still like addicted to another person, I won't say you have to leave them, because the person's not ready to, and they're not going to continue to listen. Like my goal is to get the client to get to a place where they're healed enough that they no longer want a person who's not going to treat them right. Okay, so it's to get their self-concept up, and then they decide from there. So usually once the self-concept is up, then the person that they're dealing with actually starts treating them better in the way that they deserve, or falls away and they no longer want the person. So that's my goal when I work with clients. It's not to just tell you what you already fucking know, which is get rid of that person, they're not treating you well, you deserve better. That's not helpful. and it's not gonna solve their problem. This problem is they need to actually build themselves up and heal themselves and find out where the source of the wounding is that's causing them to be attracted to that person is, and then heal that so that they get to a place where the mirror, the divine mirror that is being reflected by the other person changes, because we change others by changing ourselves. And that is true. That is something that a lot of people don't really want to talk about. They don't like to. It means taking responsibility. Like, you have to take responsibility. Let's focus on the face. Fuck, I don't know. Like, Mariette Volson asks, how did you find your calling? It's a moment-to-moment thing. Like, it's not like people have this thing like a calling, like I have this one calling. Okay, some people do, and yes, I've had many callings. Like, it's not just one thing. Like, I wanted to be a model, and I wanted to make pictures and travel the world, and I just had this desire. And then it became a bit more like altruistic. It was like, I want to be a model, because this was before like social media really took off. I was like, I feel like, you know, if I'm a model, then people will pay attention to me and they'll look at me and then they'll listen to what I have to say, because I have like a message for people. This is what happens when you're going through an awakening journey, okay? Like, when you first start going through the awakening journey, you feel like you've got a responsibility to teach people what you're learning. And sometimes it can go into like a messiah complex, and that's fine and that's natural, okay? I don't want to pathologize, you know, people who go through that space of where they're like, oh, I need to share this with the collective, I need to help people with these codes, because, you know, we are all walking each other home. So, you know, there was that, and now I realize that I need to be a model to be able to reach people with my message. So, you know, I just do modeling still because I like it and because it pays, but at some point I probably will stop. I like it also because, like, when I work with clients, I don't really leave the house, which is great on one level, but I like, you know, going out and meeting people and, you know, getting out the house and taking pictures and stuff. So I still enjoy it, so I'm still going to do that. But yeah, calling is like it's a moment to moment thing. Like, right now it's like, yeah, I want to get, like, you know, Kriya Yoga out to people. I want to show people like how effective it's been for helping me heal my body. Other people can heal their emotional bodies and align with their highest timeline. I want to introduce people to quantum field work and help them align with their highest timeline, and like help them find their missions, their calling. But like, it will change. You know, I want to do retreats and workshops at a certain point. I want to do another course, but like not like a, obviously I want to do more Kriya Yoga courses. I want to do level 2 and level 3 as well. But I also want to do like healing courses where we do like quantum field work. We heal inner child, we heal mother wounding, father wounding, like all of that stuff, and do it like live, like, you know, and have like a group of us where we work together. So that's a goal that I'm kind of working towards. I'm not going to kind of do it before I'm ready though, because I don't want to like burn myself out. Like, my nervous system is very, very sensitive to burnout. I mean, yeah, so I just have to take it easy with that. But yeah, you just, it's a mixture of like listening, really honoring and listening to your desires, and then also, you know, your mind and what your mind is telling yourself, because sometimes your mind would kind of suppress your desires and go, you can't do that, that's crazy, that's insane, who does that? Like, you know, who makes a career out of speaking the truth? Like, why do you even think that you fucking know anything anyway? And those are all thought forms or entity attachments. They're limiting beliefs. You know, you can call it what you want. You know, I know in different spaces people just call them limiting beliefs. You know, these stories that run in the back of your head telling you why you can't do what you know that you actually came here to do. It's just, you really got to listen to the womb wisdom, especially if you're a woman, that sacral energy, your desire and your heart, and connect those two. This is also why a lot of my work, I'll sometimes be doing field work on a session that's come to me for mission, because they want to align with their purpose, they want to know what they're here to do. And so, you know, we'll be working on that, but sometimes it will involve me healing, going into like sexual traumas and healing sexual wounding, because it's so connected. Like, everything is so connected. Like, you know, and when you come into alignment alignment with that highest timeline, everything just starts to align. Your mission, your calling, your purpose, all of that, your union, your tribe, your community, your monad, it all just starts aligning. So, you know, if things are not feeling aligned, like you don't have your mission, or you don't have your union, or you don't have your community, or all three, you don't have your abundance, it's because you're not on your highest timeline. And so that should be your priority, to get on your highest timeline, and then all those things start to slot in place. Not saying that they all necessarily happen immediately, but it's things start dropping out and alignment starts happening. Do you want children? Children is maybe pushing it. Maybe one child would be good. But children, I don't know, like they just, you know, they seem like a lot of work. And I just feel like our society's just really not been kind to women. It's been really, really tough for a lot of women. I see a lot of women going through so many struggles just to be able to have children, and like sacrificing their health and, you know, their bodies and, you know, their careers, and not really being supported properly by the masculine. And so I never really wanted children up until recently. Like, as I started to repair my relationship to the masculine, which I have done, you know, and it's still an ongoing process, I started to want children more and more. You have to be able to trust the masculine to be able to have children, and to be able to do it in a way that's like healthy, and, you know, where you don't get completely depleted and aligned. You know, out of alignment. Obviously, you know, I'm aware that a lot of people had children before they really understood these things. You know, I just didn't want to do that. Like, I didn't want to bring children into a world that I thought was fucking broken. But like, now I'm much more optimistic about the future. So I think that any child that comes in is actually probably going to be like, you know, it's important. I used to think also that the world was overpopulated, which it's not. It's absolutely not. Please don't believe that the world is overpopulated. Do not believe that eugenics shit, okay? Like, a lot of that stuff that, you know, they perpetuate in the mainstream media about overpopulation and about climate change is bullshit. Like, I'm not a climate change denier, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of false science in some of the things that they're saying, and a lot of those sustainable development goals are, you know, it's Agenda 2030. Like, guys, really look into Agenda 2030. It's all part of the Great Reset. You know, Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab have got their mucky paws all over it. I don't trust it at all. The world's not overpopulated. We're doing fine. If you want to research that, what I've just been talking about, Vandana Shiva is one of probably the best resources on the subject, I would say, because she's also she's very credible. She's quite a mainstream source, but she's basically called out Bill Gates and the UN Sustainable Development Goals and why it's not really to be trusted. I mean, why would anybody trust a fucking alphabet agency like the UN? I just don't. Sorry. Okay, let's see what else is happening with these questions. Okay. Sarah, when are you coming to India, or at least Asia? I was actually supposed to be there. I was actually supposed to go already, but just stuff happened. It ended up getting delayed. If client wants to direct book me for a job in India, I can go now because I have my visa already. So I can go for direct bookings. But I'm not going to go for a season, because usually when you go for a season, you have to commit like 3 months to go, until later this year, because I have another trip planned. Your views on WikiLeaks, is it a psyop? No, it's not a psyop. It just doesn't go that deep. They've obviously talked a lot about... I mean, no, I don't think it's a psyop. They obviously talked a lot about, you know, what was happening with the war on terror in Afghanistan, in Iraq. I think they released a lot of the Clinton emails as well that basically refer to Pizzagate. So yeah, like, or allude to Pizzagate. So I don't think it's a psyop. No, I mean, Julian Assange is in jail. Like, why would you? I've never even heard that, you know, anybody would think it's a psyop. I know that there's some crazy conspiracy theorists who just go way too far with some of this shit, and they start being skeptical of everything. I'm not saying that you should trust everything. You should be skeptical of everything. But I just feel like there's a lot of people who are only just waking up now, and they lack a lot of healthy discernment and a lot of nuance, and they just go into thinking that everything is bad and everything is satanic and nothing is to be trusted and everybody's a shill. And I'm transgender, had heard that recently. I'm a transgender shill, apparently. Yes. Okay. Tools that actually worked for you for protecting your field. So 2 videos ago, I did a video talking about dreams, why you fight sleep and what dreams mean, plus Christ Shield activation. So check that out. You can skip till the end if you want. There's an amazing Christ Shield that I guide you through. That's the best tool, and you only need to do it once. I activated my Christ Shield. I'm very safe in the dream space now. I don't have terrible nightmares, and I don't really worry about like spike proteins. I don't worry about 5G. I don't worry about, I'm no longer empath or sponge on other people's energy. It's just, yeah, like, it's not just doing the Christ Shield. It's also, you got to listen to yourself. You got to listen to your body. And, you know, if you feel like you're taking on other people's energy, pull your auric field in, zip it up, you know, put a shield on, like whatever color you like, whatever color resonates with you. Or you can book a session with me and I will activate the Christ Shield, or you can just watch that video and do it yourself in that video. Video about nail care. You have fantastic nails, thank you. They're a little bit of a mess right now. I am a professional hand model. I've been like the hands of Stella McCartney fragrance campaign, Burberry, like loads of big stuff that I've had my hands featured in. So I take biotin. I don't take it that often, but yeah, I'll take it occasionally. Generally just have a good diet. Like I will take breaks in between manicures. I won't have nail polish on all the time, as you can see. Like I'll have a manicure, I'll wear it until it starts getting a little bit, you know, chipped, or until it starts getting a bit scraggy at the edges, and then I'll just take it off, and I'll take at least a week off of wearing any nail polish or toenail polish. And yeah, I have like a manicure kit. Like I have like all the professional tools in my kit, because obviously I've worked with some of the best technicians in the world, so I know all the tools that they use and all the tips and tricks. Yeah, so I just went to Sally's and bought all the stuff so I could do my own manicures. I can't do them as well as they do in the salon because I'm not as well practiced, but I can do them in a pinch. I do actually have a very old video about nail care. I'll link it if you want to watch that. Obviously my routine has changed a little bit since then, but not loads. Like, to be honest, it's actually still pretty much the same, and that's a very, very old video. Oh my god, that was like 10 years ago. Okay, somebody said, what do you make of all this CERN talk on July 5th? I mean, look, it's July, is it July 6th today at the time of filming? July 6th, probably it'll be like 7th or 8th by the time this goes up. Nothing happened, and I wasn't worried about it because I'm not paying attention to what the enemy does. Like I said in the beginning of the video, everything that they do is going to serve God. God will use everything dark to serve his or her, however you refer to God, to serve the divine plan. So I'm not worried about it. Like, even if they tear a massive black hole and we all get sucked into it, if that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. I literally don't care anymore. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm just completely surrendered to the mission and, you know, just doing my best and just taking things day by day at this point. I'm not worrying about it. And I'm recognizing energy harvesting when I see it, which is why I didn't get pulled into when everybody's going on about Roe versus Wade. I mean, I'm just not going to get upset about that shit. Like, okay, partly it doesn't affect me, so I guess maybe it's my privilege to ignore it. I don't live in the States. But also, even if I did live in the States, sorry, but it wouldn't affect me because, I mean, look, I don't want to offend anybody. Like, I take a very ambivalent, neutral position towards abortion. Like, I'm not pro-life or pro-choice just do what works for you. I think that people should have the right to choose. I think women should have the right to choose. I do think that there's a complicated issue when it comes to paternal rights. It's a very nuanced issue. I do think that, you know, fathers should have some say into what happens to their children, but at the same time, you know, like I get that it's like a complicated issue, because like if a father doesn't want to be involved in a child's life, he could just disappear, but they do get shit when they do that. So, you know, it's a complicated issue. For me personally, I've never had to make that decision for myself, thank God. I've always maintained to any of my previous partners that if I were to get pregnant, that I would not get an abortion. And I've never had to, because you can bet that they fucking pull out when you tell them that, okay? And I recommend this to any ladies who are not on hormonal contraception. I'm not on hormonal contraception. I will not take that shit. I think it's poison. I did a lot of research into it. Those people who've known me for a really long time, who've known me since I was a teenager, will saw how I was nearly killed by the Depo-Provera injection. It was a very, like, the most challenging time of my entire life when I took that injection, and I lost an entire year of my life. I had to drop out of uni. It was really bad. So yeah, like, I'm not a fan of hormonal contraception. I will not take it. I just won't take it. So yeah, like, that's just what I say. I'm just like, you're not going to use abortion as contraception. Like, you know, if you're gonna have a slip up, we're doing the thing. So, you know, you need to be careful, and they always are. They're always careful. There's only a couple of days in the month where a woman can even get pregnant. So, you know, if you're doing a rhythm method, then just be extra careful on those days, and, you know, just be mindful about who you're sleeping with. You know, we shouldn't be using this as a form of contraception anyway. Obviously, that's not like, I understand that there are issues, you know, where the mother's life is at risk, or the child's life is at risk, or, you know, there's like serious family issues where bringing a child in would just be a really, really bad idea, like, you know, socioeconomic issues or cultural issues or whatever. I totally understand that, and that's why I say I do believe it is a woman's right to be able to have that choice. And you know, personally, I just think it's energy harvesting. I don't know why they made that decision. I don't think it's going to stick, and maybe it will not stick. It will not stick because of the pushback. Like, you know, those of you who are outraged, okay, fine, be outraged, you know, and fight against it, but it's not my fight. I'm not going to get involved in it. If you can't do anything to change it, don't allow it to harvest your energy. It's the same with all the other stuff that's going on in the world right now. Don't allow it to harvest your energy, okay? Because energy harvesting is a real thing, okay? A lot of people don't understand the multi-dimensional, what's going on here in this reality. They think it's just this 5 senses, and they only deal with this, you know, 3D. But there's entities that are feeding on our energy, our loosh, okay? And they are what keep the matrix reality operating at a lower band of frequency. So we have to starve them out. So stop feeding them with your emotional energy. The more you keep your vibration high, I know it sounds woo, but this is the reality of the situation. You keep your vibration as high as you possibly can, and we will shift into higher bands of frequency where these entities cannot operate, okay? They will have to go back to source, because they'll lose their fuel source, which is us. So stop feeding stuff with your emotional energy, like CERN, like Roe versus Wade, like the situation in Ukraine and whatever else. Obviously, I understand some people are personally affected, so I'm considerate to that, and I'm not going to tell people who are personally affected, don't feed it with your energy. Like, you're human, and if you're going through a difficult time because of things that are happening in the world, then embrace that, accept it, move through it with grace, allow it to purge out of your body, and then take action, whatever action you need to make yourself feel better about the situation, to help others, all of that stuff. If you're in a position to help others, then help others without feed. You don't have to feed it with your emotional energy to be of service and to actually make a change. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so that's about it. That's all I want to talk about. I'm getting really hungry now, so I'm going to cut this video short. Like always, if you want to book a session with me, then DM me on Instagram. Just to let you know, guys, if you want to do a package, that's fine. Like 5-session package is fine, but you need to do a single session with me first. I've had a couple of people, you know, want to do, if I've said that you can do a 5-session package, then that's fine, you know, without doing a single session, that's fine. But generally, you got to do a single session first, okay? I understand some people want the discount. If you want to do a single session first, and then I say, okay, I think we would be a good fit to do a 5-session package together, I can adjust the price so that you only end up doing 5 sessions and paying for those 5 sessions at the lower rate. But you will have to pay for a single session first, just because I need to know that we're a fit to work together, because not everybody is ready for this work. Not everybody is a good fit for this work. Not everybody is suitable to work with me. We may not vibe, and that's fine. It's not personal at all, you know, it's just I'm a very particular person, y'all are particular, you know, you got to find the right match to do this work together, and there needs to be like a lot of trust. So, you know, if I feel like it's not a good fit for us to work together, if I feel like, you know, because of the way that I work, I need people that are a little bit open, that are willing to give me something to work with. Certain people aren't a fit for that. They're not a fit for the modality, or they're not a fit for me for whatever reason. So yeah, again, it's not personal if I think that we should only do 1 session together. But yeah, just to let y'all know. Okay, that's it. I love you and leave you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye.